Does this look familiar? A dead Dyson or a pulsating Dyson or no suction? Well, stay tuned, learn how to fix it. Hi everybody, it's Rich. Today we're going to be working on this Dyson V7 Animal rechargeable vacuum. This one has no power when you pull the trigger, and I suspect that the battery is bad. But we're going to replace the filters and clean it as well while we're in there. So first step today is we're going to separate the power head from the extended tube that you use for upright vacuuming. So push the red button in and then separate the power head from the extension tube. Then lift up the extension tube and look completely through it to ensure there's no debris, no trash, no hair, or any other obstruction inside of it. If there is, that can create short cycling, or what we feel is a pulsating type of vacuum. The motor will pulsate on and off if there is any obstruction between the power head and the actual vacuum. I like to use a small flashlight to shine into the power head. I then look down the tubing to make sure that there's no obstructions or debris that would prevent proper suction from the vacuum. Good. As you can see, there's no obstructions. So we'll take the head apart, we'll clean it, put it back together, and we should be good to go. Okay, to begin taking the power head apart, we're going to turn this plastic screw about a quarter turn counterclockwise. That should pull that lower trim off. Good. Turn the power head on its side where you can see this large screw. We're going to turn it just a bit to the left, and then it should release because it is spring loaded. Remove the cap, and then we can slide the brush out slowly. Make sure everything that you do with this thin plastic, you do gently. Take a quick inspection of the power head. You can see all the grime that's built up over the years. Disgusting. I may have waited a little bit too long to clean it. A dry brush can remove some of the larger debris from the power head. So as you can see here, I'm just taking a simple brush and going through some of the crevices. Now it's time to mix the cleanser. I've had the best results by using 2 cups of white vinegar and 2 cups of water. The second jug that you see, it looks like white vinegar, but it's actually just an old bottle that I put filtered water in, and I keep it in my shop just to keep the water handy. All right, now for the moment you've been waiting for. We're going to be taking the power head apart, and we're going to be taking 7 screws out. It's a Torx bit size 8. So once you get those out, it'll separate into 2 pieces from the top and the bottom, and there's 2 wires connecting the 2. So be very gentle. There's no need to disconnect the wires. Just fold it open and lay it there so we can clean it. Okay, now that we got the 2 pieces separated, you can see those wires that I'm talking about. They'll be fine. Just leave them in this position and we can manipulate the housing so we can clean it. Make sure you don't spray any cleanser or tamper with the bearing that's in the center of this cap. Okay, we're going to be working on the actual vacuum now. We don't need this rear exhaust filter anymore, and we don't need this top intake filter. I bought a kit with about 5 filters in there. Open up your vacuum. You can see how filthy this is. Okay, so for the next portion, I'm going to be using my air compressor. If you do not have an air compressor, you can use compressed air. You can buy them in cans at any home shop, Lowe's, Home Depot, places like that. You can also take your shop vac and reverse your hose to where you're putting the hose onto the exhaust. And if you put the smaller attachments to the front, it'll compress that front and give you a good blast of air to where you can blow the dirt out of these things. But I do highly recommend using something to blow all the dirt out. All right, it looks amazing. Now it's time to remove the battery. I'm going to use the screwdriver that came with the battery. That way you can see that it can be done with the cheapest screwdriver I think I've ever seen in my life. We're going to be removing 3 Phillips head screws. There's going to be 2 at the bottom, and then there's going to be 1 in the back. Now when you're putting these screws back in, as with anything that's plastic, you only want to snug it. You don't want to over tighten, as you can crack the plastic pretty easily. Okay, I'm going to bring in my trusty flashlight with the magnet on back, and I'm going to put the screws on the magnet. That way I don't knock them off my workbench and they're lost in the abyss. Okay, now it's time to mount the battery by reinstalling the 3 screws that we removed. We're going to start with the one on the rear. And now we're going to replace the screws that we removed from the bottom. Okay, we're almost done. We're just going to install the filters and then we'll give it a test run. The tools that you see to the side are the ones that came with the battery and the filters. I'll put links below so if you want to order them, you know where to get them. Line up the dots on the filter and on the vacuum and then lock it to the right. Then the top filter just pushes in and locks in. Go ahead and test. Sounds amazing. Now I'm going to show you what it sounds like if you have an obstruction. Cover it, you're going to hear it pulsing. That means that there's some sort of obstruction between the power head and the vacuum. And ultimately it'll shut off on an overload and it'll have to cool down before you can run it again. Thank you so much for watching my video. I sure hope it helped. Have a good day, and as always, I'll see you in the comments.